Yeah, so the first question we ask, what do you love to do? And it's sort of like, what do you love to do so much you just keep doing it until you're exhausted? Like, what kind of really gets you?
Miley Cyrus. At the moment, it's Miley Cyrus. Anything Miley related. The podcast. So doing the Photoshop, video editing.
Yeah.
That seems to be more consistent. I do other phases. Sometimes I might be absorb myself in a really good video game, and I might not be able to get it. But that's seasonal. I'm often too busy to do that because I've got so much stuff on my mind.
So that's sort of like secondary.
Yeah.
Because we asked, like, the question is, you know, is there anything that comes in close second?
Yeah,
so that would be like second. So it's sort of creative, kind of.
All writing, creative, content generation.
Yeah. What is it about that?
I guess it's the storytelling aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. And you've always been that way?
No, it's changed.
Yeah?
Yeah, I never had the focus.
No. If I'd asked you this question 10 years ago,
yeah.
what would have you said?
10 years ago I was just distracted by drinking beer and trying to pick up girls. You can take that out in the picture. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Another part is I don't have really much energy to do anything else.
But you have energy to do that.
Yeah, I've the
Because you
mental
love
energy
doing
to
it.
do that,
And it's because it's mental energy, okay.
Yeah. But then I'd be looking at the dishes piled up going, I should probably get onto those.
Did you used to be different with that? I mean, I know you've got less energy than you used to. But
Yeah,
you used to have
that's a lot worse than it used to. Yeah.
How much alone time do you need?
I don't think I need any because I'm getting enough.
Yeah.
I thought, I could do with some alone time.
Yeah.
Question is, do I need any connection? Possibly.
Yeah.
That'll be a better question.
How much of that? Like, you need some alone time every day.
Yeah.
But we don't have a reference point for how
No,
little you can get away with.
Yeah, because sometimes going down the shop spotting my only sort of human interaction.
Yeah. So do you feel that draw to need people and connection and...
Not at the moment. I'm just like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Only because it's been really tough the last few months. So if I'm going out and listening to everyone else's fucking problems, then I'll listen. But it's like,
So that's just like more random people you know better is not...
When Adam was in town, I caught up with an old mate. It was quality, it was great.
Yeah.
Just a million conversations. Catching up with Nathan was great.
Yeah.
When you catch up with an old friend, it's good.
And is that partly small talk? Like, you don't like small talk?
That'll come into it, yeah. Distaste for small talk.
Yeah. Me too. I can't do it.
Yeah. But it's good. I mean, it's good opportunities to get out of your own head as well, talking to people.
For sure. Yeah. You find that valuable?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
2 scenarios. Which one would you least prefer?
Yeah.
7 days on your own in a house with no human contact. You can have the internet, but no human contact.
Wow.
Or 7 days in a house, maybe like a family reunion. So some people you know, some you don't, and it's pretty much constant human contact other than sleeping.
Oh, definitely the first.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
I figured as much.
Yeah.
Why?
Just no distractions.
Yeah.
No triggers.
Yeah.
And privacy.
Yeah. Just gonna get a drink. So acknowledging that we're all different,
Yes.
we're all unique. At a fundamental level, do you feel more similar or more different to other people? Different, yeah. In what way?
Lack of routine.
Yep. As in you have lack of routine, or as in you don't like having routine?
I like routine.
You
I
like
need routine. I just don't have the gift of routine.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So the work situation.
Yep.
Part capacity, but not making that your identity.
Yes. That's semi-external.
Yeah.
But as your actual self,
No, that's a good
how
point.
you exist and who you are.
Miley stuff's a bit weird. Let's be honest.
I mean, I'm assuming the answer is yes, but it's
in
like...
terms of unique, I'm just trying to justify it.
Feel different.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have to justify it, it's just how you feel.
Yeah.
In yourself. Do you feel more like the average Joe, or do you feel more different?
No, I feel more different.
Yeah. I mean, I'm asking you...
Part of that...
How so? Because I want more info.
Part of that makes me feel superior as well.
Yeah.
Superiority in that.
Yeah.
Another part of it is, I just don't fit in. But I've kind of moved to the superior side of it now. It's a way of coping.
Totally. What about abstract conversation? Like high-level theoretical stuff?
I love
philosophy, spirituality, you love it all?
Love it all. Love talking in metaphors.
Yep.
I love it when things don't make sense and you make them fit.
Yeah. So for me, that's my answer to the first question. What could I do all day? Sit around with good food and drink and just talk about abstract stuff. I'm guessing you'd be similar.
Yeah.
I suppose even this content creation, does that fit into that for you? Abstract, random metaphors, yeah.
Surreal. Particularly on the world of the internet where everyone takes everything so literally.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a playground.
It's really messed up, isn't it? So much communication that just doesn't exist with text. Man, I've put my foot in it. Which rules you more, your head or your heart?
That's a really good question.
Say both, you can say whatever you want. I should have said that, there's no wrong answers.
Probably head.
Head?
Yeah, it hasn't always been.
Yep.
I've always been a heart man, but since I got sick, it's always now it's my head.
Okay. What way?
I always just try and think of the logical answer for things.
Yep. And you didn't before?
No.
It's interesting. Just like sickness and pain and all that does do crazy things to your psychology.
But there will always be matters of the heart.
Sure.
In the way of that logic, but that's the driving.
Yeah.
Would be logic.
So that's the driving, but when it comes to the chase to actually make the call,
it'll be the heart for sure.
Be the heart.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Might even be 50-50.
I mean, it's good to have them both.
Yeah. The heart will come in the decision making, like I'm just thinking with my head. And possibly that's from lack of trust. Assessment, risk assessment.
Yeah, and it's that primitive mechanism to keep yourself safe because like shit hadn't always gone as smooth as what you thought it would. So it's like this kind of... If you're making a decision, would you be primarily thinking about the human element, or would that just be one metric? One metric, it's not all that's kind of going on. What else would you think about things? What else are you like logically thinking about?
Oh, okay, so you got the human element. I'd probably need an example of...
well, you were getting offered a good gig in Queensland.
Yeah.
So you're thinking of moving to Queensland?
There would be the geographical considerations, travel, the family would come into it, so I guess that would be that side of it.
No, that's good. That's good. If you have to be honest with someone, like you said you'd help someone out on the weekend, you help them move house or something like that, and you have to cancel, how much time and effort do you put into thinking about how you're going to say it or to actually saying it, or do you just kind of go, no, I'll just say it how it is and that's it?
I'll just say it how it is.
Yeah, you won't be sort of too worried about it or feeling bad or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon about 10 years ago I would have just done it, rain or shine, and probably felt bad, but not anymore.
Yeah, okay. You would have turned up, rain or shine.
Or stirred on that phone call, but not anymore.
Yes. And that's, from what I'm assuming you are, I mean, I'm open to being wrong, that's sort of what I would think of.
Yeah.
But obviously when you get older, and that's what I'm finding with people that are like sort of out of their 20s, we develop and change in certain ways. It doesn't make me necessarily a different person.
I'd actually put that down to sickness too, because before I got sick I was just totally burnt out.
Yeah.
Like rocking up to work sick, and now it's just like, you know what, they don't give a shit about me.
Totally. And I'm so similar.
Yeah.
Like,
like that.
Yeah. I mean, being sick, I had to learn how to say no and get over feeling bad because I had to say no multiple times a day. It's like, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. Can't do this today, can't do it tomorrow, can't do it the next day, can't do it the next day.
Yeah.
Have to take a week off, have to quit my job, and it's just like, you have to learn it. And so that's more a case of life moulding you rather than necessarily a fundamental aspect of your personality.
Yeah, that wasn't a set attitude.
Exactly.
Excuse.
No worries.
What are you in the cup?
What's your relationship to adrenaline? Adrenaline rush? You sure an adrenaline rush? You're not too worried about it?
Well, it happens more often than it used to.
Really? So more like an anxiety-induced thing.
Yeah, that happens occasionally.
Yeah.
More than it ever used to.
Yeah.
I see it as a way of my body talking to me, and I respond.
Yeah.
But neither.
So you're not like inclined to jump out of planes or bungee jump or ride motorbikes or...
Bungee jumping I've done, I enjoyed that.
Okay, yeah.
I would like to jump out of a plane.
So you are kind of, you're into it, you're not adrenaline junkie, but...
I'm not a junkie.
Yeah, I've skydived, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way better than bungee jumping.
Yeah, I just like those pivotal moments of conquering your fears.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're levelling up in some ways.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually more about...
Yeah, it's a learning thing. It's a learning
thing. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Which is why I like giving myself deadlines as well, because you do have that adrenaline.
Yes.
Particularly if you're lacking motivation.
So you can use...
Push.
Anxiety, basically, to...
Motivate.
Yeah, motivate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense as well.
I guess another way to answer it is that I have enough adrenaline in my life. It's probably good to have relaxation.
Yeah.
Maybe some celebration.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. Oh, and when you got a heap of anxiety, it's just, you're not looking for more of that. Do you ever absorb other people's emotions?
Yeah.
And is it pretty easy for you to tell what that person's emotions are and what that person probably needs?
Oh, that would involve me understanding your own as well.
Yeah.
To an extent, I guess.
So, what about your own?
Sometimes I don't even understand my own emotions, I learn other people's.
Yeah. So would you say you're better at understanding yours or other people's?
Neither.
I don't believe you.
Okay. I'll pay that.
Well,
you think I understand my own better?
That would be my guess.
Yeah. No, I'll pay that.
Of course, it's hard to ever say, oh, I'm brilliant at understanding my emotions. It's like saying, oh, I'm the best author there is. But I'll frame it in the other way. Like, I was doing this with a lady recently, and I was asking her about how well she understands, what you're feeling, and she was like, oh yeah, doesn't everyone? I'm like, no, and actually for me, I'm really good at understanding other people's emotions, really good at reading them. What's happening for me? Don't know. Very hard for me to work it out, and to work it out, I usually have to talk about it with someone.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know how you can't know. And I was like,
bring out your little emojis.
That's right. But she was literally like, I just don't know how you couldn't know.
Yeah.
And I met with her twice, and she said the same comment both times. She's like, I can't. And you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what other people don't experience.
Yeah. So not understanding someone's emotions, could that be defined as lack of empathy? Or is the lack of empathy not acknowledging it at all?
Well, there's sort of like, in my mind...
What's the difference between not acknowledging and not understanding?
Yeah, the way I frame it is it's sort of like 3 steps along the continuum.
Yeah.
So there's the person that's really good at reading another person's emotions and knows, can name it.
Yes.
Like I can do that with my clients and stuff. I can say, this is happening for him.
Yeah.
And so that's me seeing it and potentially feeling it energetically. And some people of my personality type, I'm not really like this, but the extreme is they can actually feel someone energetically walking into a room, and they'll feel annoyed, and I'm I'm annoyed, and they're like in a cafe, and then they realise there's a guy over there that's like arguing with his wife, and he's
Yeah,
really
I can do that.
Yeah.
I pick up on energies.
Yeah. I know that about you. And then there's the second one, which is you observe someone, but you're not necessarily absorbing their emotion. You replicate within yourself.
It's all about how I'm feeling.
That experience, you've had that before, so that person's like sad, and you connect with sadness from your own life, and you basically mirror their emotion. It's just a nuance. I don't know, which one do you relate more to?
I'm a mirrorer.
The mirroring kind of thing, Once again, that's what I would think.
And I also use that strategy in conflict with someone. I'll just project it back.
Yes.
I won't throw a punch, I'll just...
Oh, so you just reflect back?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other way, this is just how I look at it, the other way is the more not having them on your radar as much.
Yeah.
The emotions. So
blocking them out.
Yeah, it's just, you're more logical, you're more thinking about other things, you know, it's the...
You're not taking it personally.
It's the distraught wife that's crying about whatever, and the husband that's purely focused on fixing the practical element. And I mean, I say purely because I do that too, and I sometimes get in trouble for like fixing. Yeah. But I'm doing both. I'm seeing the emotion, I'm taking it in, and I'm like, well, if I reduce this thing, but that's more just that cliche kind of.
Here's a box of tissues.
That's right. Well, it's barely even that. It's like, if you didn't waste that money, you wouldn't be broke now. You know, it's like, or if you just listened to what I said to you last week, you wouldn't be in this situation. Yeah. It's like, what's your relationship to time? Answer that, however.
I'm governed by it. I'm compliant to it. I have to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I could control it or stop it, manipulate it, that would be fun for a while. But I rely on it.
Yeah.
It's going a bit too fast. Lately I've been looking back.
Yeah.
And sometimes I look forward. It's hard to live in the moment at times.
What in my 20s, do more of?
What do I do more of?
Yeah, look forward, look back, being kind of current. Doesn't have to be in the very moment, but you know, this week sort of thing.
I guess another survival tactic is I have to keep looking forward. I have to think about what's coming up.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to look back.
Okay. What were you about to say? Cut you off. You said in your 20s.
In my 20s, I was totally living in the moment. Like I was just not even thinking about the future, and the past was shit. So it was just recklessly living in the moment, worrying about the consequences later. I guess maybe I'm dealing with that now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Yeah. Interesting one.
Yeah. I thought I was going to be immortal.
Yeah. Oh,
I was immortal.
We're all like that. Yeah. Sure. And like scheduling and planning, like all that time stuff, like what? Do you find it easy to be on time? Do you buck up against it? Do you buck up against scheduling?
No, I get anxious when I'm running late.
Okay.
I like to be early for appointments.
Yep.
GPS has completely changed the way and like my iCalendar and everything, the alerts has just changed.
I know, I used to drive around swearing and carrying on, trying to read the map, running late.
And remember that you used to go the night before, you'd actually scout out where the location was? Like it was like 3 a.m, you'd drive along and go, I'm going to park here.
Yeah. I think old people still do that. What is it about being late that makes you anxious?
Letting clients down.
Okay.
And at the point where, I need to...
So it's important meetings. So if you were late for a coffee, just with a mate, like an old mate or whatever, you wouldn't be as anxious?
Oh, I don't know though. There'd be that whole fear of, you think your time's more important than mine. You're an arsehole. That would drive me to...
Yeah.
But then it's just a matter of just sending a text, which, like, as we pointed out before, I'm not really worried about doing that anymore.
Yeah, well, that's
what
I was saying. It's sort of linked together,
Yeah, it kind of links with that. But I still do get a bit nervous about important things, which goes with that whole I can't even think of it. It was the
anxiety.
The anxiety.
Yes. That links to another question, which was related to planning. I mean, would you rather, two scenarios again, would you rather know something's coming up and have ability to plan, but when you're there in the moment, you can't improvise, you need to sort of stick with the plan? Or would you rather not know what's coming up, it's more of a spontaneous thing, but when you're in the moment, you have full capacity to improvise?
That's something that's changed.
Yeah.
I would always be the second.
Yes.
However, I've since learned that is not physically possible.
Yeah, well, there can be structure, but the structure would be external to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like...
Well, I've got to be in control of that.
Of the structure?
Yeah,
So you like to plan it?
I need to be the planner, yeah.
Yeah. And that would have always been that way?
No.
No. So that's something changed, yeah.
Yeah, that's changed.
And they're all linked to the same sort of thing, hey? Same
Yeah.
sort of change. That's one sort of coming at the same.
Yeah, that pivotal event.
Yes.
Or just that moment of being fed up, completely fed up.
Yeah.
And just completely give up trying. Like just and then just having to sit down and put all the pieces back together again. Like
And choosing to put it back together a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting it in different boxes.
Yeah.
Because taking the piss drives me. Like, maybe put that for number one.
Yeah.
Taking the piss.
So the jester.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you choose that over? Because you're obviously a serious person as well.
Oh yeah, but I'm serious about taking the piss.
But why?
Why?
There must be reason behind that.
I don't know, not conforming?
Yeah.
Maybe? Rebelling against conformity?
Mm-hmm. So it's about you and how you're perceived and how you show up.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes I just want to entertain myself. Like, it stops me getting bored.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fucking boring. I'm taking piss. It's fun.
If switched into the superior thing,
yeah.
Is there any sense of, like, with your superiority, and maybe there's a part of that is an intellectual superiority of, like,
Life's a joke.
Basically manipulation, taking the piss and basically prodding things to get an outcome.
Yeah.
If I'm explaining that right.
Yeah.
The jester can be a prophet, or it can be kind of ironic. So, how much does visual clutter, so like visual clutter in your workplace, is it clutter, is it? How much does it interrupt your ability to think?
Oh, no, that's fine.
Doesn't bother you?
I've got a genius desk. Look, that's clutter. Yeah. No, it doesn't affect. In some ways it can drive it.
Yes. You prefer it in some ways? You don't? Would you struggle to work in a sanitised workplace?
No, I would appreciate a sanitised workplace. I've just got better things to do than clean my workplace.
Yeah. Do you have systems? Do you have to put your keys in the same place?
Yeah, I do. It's getting a little bit more. I'm always losing shit.
Yeah, okay.
Which is frustrating me. Well, I'm at the point now where it's like, well, I need to sort of work on a system and possibly improve on that clutter.
Yeah.
Because when I can't find something, it frustrates the hell out of me.
Do you have many systems?
Like, I've got a drawer full of random shit.
We've all got that.
Yeah.
But how's your digital life? How's your email? Do you have lots of unread emails?
Yeah.
Like hundreds?
Yeah. I've started to try to set up folders and, naming conventions and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So using that planning.
Yeah, okay. Is that the sort of thing that you've always sort of wanted to do but never achieved? Or it's like...
Something I have to do because I keep losing shit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Or a survival rather than a neurotic, compulsive thing.
Cleaning's a job. I don't use it as a way of coping.
Sure. Trying to poke holes in my theory.
Am I?
I'm trying to.
Oh, you are? Yeah.
Everything's very congruent, which is good. But, yeah. Alright, what I'm going to do, I reckon I'll go through the verification. So the verification is essentially me explaining the things that I was picking between. You're already aware of some of this stuff, so I was looking at A introvert, A extrovert. And I'll go through that and I'll just briefly explain each of the options. There's 4 sets of 2, and essentially say what I think, and you can push back if you feel like I'm wrong, basically. So I think the first one's pretty straightforward. Introvert, extrovert, you're an introvert.
Yeah.
We know you need time on your own.
Yeah.
Live on your own and you're happy with that.
Yeah.
You've chosen lately to just spend time on your own rather than deal with people's crap and chaos. So you'd agree with that one?
Yep.
So then the next one is, I really like this one, I think it's very interesting. It's the sensor versus intuition. And so within society, 75% of people approximately are sensor and about 25 are intuitive, so not that many. It's the biggest split percentage-wise out of all of them. And the sensor is all about what's verifiable, so they really like what they can touch, they can smell, they can taste, they can feel. The person that's science-based would tend to be like that. So, you know, they're not interested in speculating about what could be. They want to know what's concrete, what's real. You know, if I tell you that my friend met an alien, they want to know the concrete evidence.
Yeah.
They don't want to speculate about if that's true and how it could happen. And if there's none of that, they're not going to be interested in talking about it. Whereas intuitive, it's the way they explain it is it's advanced pattern recognition. So it's literally being really astute at seeing patterns and making connections and bringing together disparate concepts and ideas and seeing how they link, which kind of builds into what you're saying about like metaphors and what did you say? You said like bringing things together that don't work and
that don't fit.
That don't fit.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking intuitive. That you'll be intuitive, and that relates to feeling different. So if you're only like 1 in 4 people, 25%, you're going to by nature feel different because we're in a world that's set up for sensors. So
VR going to change that?
What's that?
VR's going to change that too. I mean, is that pretty much designed for our sensory?
Yeah. Don't know.
How do you approach VR with an intuitive mind? Would you be thinking about how you coded it?
Yeah, well...
Do you know what I mean?
Well, approaching VR with an intuitive mind is exactly what you just did. Yeah. You are speculating as to the impact that would have on society.
Yeah.
And that pulls me in, because I'm also intuitive. It's like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas a sensor would be like, oh, don't know, we don't know yet if VR is even going to be a success.
Yeah.
The technology's not there.
Yeah.
It can't do that. Or they're just not going to be interested. They might not push back, but you just might not get anything from them. They're like, I don't know. And then they'll talk about the weather. That's really rude. But you know what I mean? They'll just talk about something else. And,
it's got nothing to do with Miley Cyrus. What are you talking about?
That's right.
Nothing to do with Miley.
Yeah.
Next question.
Whereas intuitive and the type of intuition I reckon you're using, which is different to mine, and I'll get to that, would be able to connect VR and Miley and a game of tennis down the street quite easily in a narrative, or they could just and do it fast in real time, which is I think is what you're doing on stage. So if someone heckles you, you've got your script, you can actually incorporate.
Yeah, but you need the script.
You need the script.
And the moment I started writing the script, it changed things.
Yeah. Would the heckling throw you off though?
Not if I knew my script.
I'm just thinking when you're on stage in Edinburgh and you couldn't get any laughs.
Yeah, it was horrible.
I just remember you telling me you took all your clothes off.
Yeah,
to get a laugh.
Yeah, I did that.
That's spontaneous.
Yeah.
Or had you thought about that before?
Nah, it was just something I was doing.
Something in the moment.
Like getting naked a lot when I was out there.
I did it more than once.
Yeah, got offered a job for puppetry of the penis.
Oh, really?
And I just remember thinking, didn't want to tell my mum. Didn't want to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was that. Didn't want to be known as the guy that got his cock out.
Yeah.
job emceeing for strippers.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just thought it would be a slippery slope.
Yeah, it would be.
Lifestyle-wise.
Yeah, it'd be a depressing environment to be in and to cope with it. You
Yeah.
have to quit or adapt. Yeah, I reckon that you're intuitive. You'd really have to convince me that you're a sensor.
Yeah.
We've all got it. We've all got a sensor element. Like, we all do it.
Oh, yeah.
So
when
the
I'm jacking off.
What's it? But yeah, so... But then the third one is the thinker versus feeler. This is an interesting one for you because my gut instinct and from knowing you is that you're a feeler, and you said I've always been a heart person, and I think you still are. You're ultimately making your decisions with your heart, but life has shaken you up, and you've also brought in your thinking process more, which I'll talk about what that means specifically.
Yeah, it's almost like a gatekeeper kind of thing.
Yes. And the way that it should work for you with your personality, if I'm right, is that it should support your feeling function. Yeah. It should be like the two I see.
This is the part where I've always got different results. Yeah. Because I reckon it's a 50-50.
Yeah, and the reason is we all have 4 cognitive functions.
Yeah.
It's a brain function. 1 is the strongest, then there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. And 2 and 3 are literally 2 sides of the same coin. But literally, like your thinking functions here and your feeling functions here, and it can flip. And so they're wrestling. They're basically vying for power. But your second function is the one that you're better at, and it's the one that you should go to. But you, by nature, will potentially go to your third, to your thinking.
Like, for example, when I'm dealing with the bank, like I was totally emotional, upset. I had to completely switch off and deal with facts and figures.
Yes. And you could do that.
Yeah.
But if you did that in a job for 8 hours a day, it would kill your soul.
Yeah.
You could, and could you do it? You know, you could probably do it to a point.
Yeah.
This is about how you evaluate information and make judgment calls. Some people want to be as objective as possible. They remove themselves and others from the equation and focus on data. Whereas I think you know that you can never be removed from the equation. And even you said, I was emotional. So you knew that you were part of it, but I put that aside. So it was like, it's there, and you put it aside. Whereas for a thinker, or even for me, but for they wouldn't even realise they were emotional. Yeah. All they might connect with was that they're pissed off. Yeah, that's the typical Aussie man. The only emotion Aussie men are allowed to have is anger. You know? Yeah. Even though under that's usually sadness and grief. Other people focus on the human element, the way themselves and or others will be impacted by the decision. And even you're saying like, no, I don't want to be like cognitive bias, I'm just trying to prove my theory, but like, they don't give a shit about me being emotional. So you are thinking about them. And if you thought they did give a shit about you being emotional, then you would probably show up with that emotion. Yeah, of course. So you're thinking about that. Yeah, it was strategy. It's strategy, exactly, rather than just thinking about the data. Well, I'm in the right. I paid. You did this, I didn't do this. Even with the letters. I mean, factually, on paper, well, they communicated with you. Legally, we sent it to you, we served you that information, and it's done. But you're actually bringing in, the way you're analysing, you're actually bringing in, well, it's actually not that straightforward. And without saying it directly, it's like anxiety-inducing to receive letters, and there's lots of people out there that don't receive their letters. So why are you counting and relying on me to read my letters? Lots of people don't read their letters. No. And that's sort of what you were saying indirectly. Yeah. I've got screenshots of me requesting to have it sent by email. Yes. And these were dated. I kept them as ammunition. Yeah, it's good. After I did it, I made another request, and then I started receiving emails straight after that. So you're getting emails now? That's a win. Yeah. Yeah, now. That's good. Yeah, now. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, isn't it? It's like, we're all busy. You're busy, I'm busy. Don't give me that shit. I have to request these things 3 times. Sometimes I get offered an opportunity to use a cheque. When we first got married, so almost 8 years ago, I tried to get a chequebook. Yeah. Because we were going to America and they use checks. And my bank looked at me like I was crazy, and they're like, we don't have a checkbook. It didn't exist 8 years ago, and yet they're still Oh, you can't pay this way, but you can pay by cheque. What? So yeah, so that's the thinker versus feeler. So I'm thinking feeler.
Yeah.
That resonate?
Yeah.
Being drawn into your thinking space.
Lately I've been thinking, is that a weakness?
The feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last one is the one that is a bit... it's a little bit less clear cut, but if you get the rest of the personality sorted, then this one sort of just slots in. And this is the J versus P, the judger versus perceiver. And the guys I'm studying with have a really good way to explain this. So the stereotype is that the J's are the really organised people.
Yeah.
And they get shit done. And the perceivers, they're late and they're messy and they're disorganised. This is a stereotype.
Yeah.
And they're kind of a bit like Western society doesn't reward them as well because, you know, they leave all their clothes lying on the ground.
Yeah.
But what is actually going on behind the stereotype is that both people that are the judger or perceiver, we all need a place where we have organisation in our life, and we all need a place where we have freedom.
Yeah.
For a judger, they actually like inner freedom. So they'll get their schedules and systems and everything in place so that they can go into their inner world, inner landscape, and roam freely. So the judger wants the freedom in the outside world so that they're not going to be distracted when they go into their inner world. And they're quite disorganised in their inner world. I can't think in a linear way. I have a really hard time. I don't know if this metaphor works, but it's a bit like a filing cabinet.
Okay.
It's more linear. It's more organised.
Yeah.
So they don't have a filing cabinet in the real world. I mean, I've got a filing cabinet. It's bloody organised. And I've got folders on my computer and they're organised. And my email's organised. My other email's organised. Everything's freaking organised. Now, I'm a bit stereotypical. My wife's a judger and she's not as much like that. But I'm using colour coding. I'm using systems. A system everywhere. But inside of my head, I lack systems. So if I don't put my keys where they're meant to be, I'm screwed. I'm like, I've lost my keys. Whereas for a perceiver, they might have 3 places they put their keys. But this is the thing, it gives you red herrings. Because like you're saying, you put your keys there, and it's like, I can't judge the whole thing by where you put your keys. But this is sort of the general thing, is that the perceiver in the inner world is more organised. And that gives them freedom in the outside world to be more spontaneous. And it sounds like you used to really like that spontaneity.
Yeah, I can't live
But
like
now
that.
it's fucked you up a few times. And
Yeah, I can't function in the real world with that.
so I know another system called the Aneagram. You've heard of the Aneagram?
No.
It's another personality system. And in that personality system, you would probably be what they would call is a number 4.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only 2 personality types out of 9 in that system that are perfectionists. I'm one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a number 1.
Yeah.
And number 4s are the other one. And number 4s are highly creative.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's just the typical artist. It's the unique, creative kind of
Mm-hmm.
all that stereotype, but it's like it's real. And I am wondering if you're a judger within your art because that's where your perfectionism comes out. Are you a judger in your car, or are you a judger in your wardrobe, in your bedroom? Like all my shirts.
Can we put that down to neglect though? Like, if I could, I probably would, but there's an element of neglect there. Not a personality thing, but just a.
But for me, it's
a priority.
and it's not all about me.
Yeah.
But just to use me as a concrete example.
Yeah.
It's neurotic. It doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be pathological, but it's an impulse. If I'm stressed, I will clean up and organise. It's not about making things clean. It's about order and organising. So a lovely night home for me is listening to something like Joe Rogan or something and cleaning up my office. Yeah, it's interesting because also the feeling function plays into that. So like, because you give a shit about other people and their feelings, you don't want to be late. Whereas a judger doesn't want to be late because they don't want to be late because they've got stuff to do and they want to be organised. Now I'm a feeler and a judger, so I've got both things. I care about making the other person feel bad, but I also care because I've got to get to work later. So I know you as a reliable person and a person of integrity. Yeah. But if you're an INFP, then INFPs are values people. And I think you have a value. I mean, you tell me a value of having integrity.
Yeah.
Like you didn't want to do those jobs you're given.
Yeah.
You didn't want to tell your mum, but also there was something about your integrity and being able to be okay with who you are when you're on your own with yourself. So we're pretty much in agreement with the introvert, the intuitive, and the feeler, and I don't really have any insecurity about that. You agree. It's whether you're the P or whether you're the J. These two personalities are inherently, they get mixed up.
Yeah.
People get stuck.
Why can't you just say PJ? Why can't you just do a character?
The reason you can't do it, I'll tell you. Where did I put my cards? Yeah. Is because, and it's probably a good time to get to this piece of it.
Where's your sister, mate?
Is because we have 4 cognitive functions each. You change one letter, it entirely changes your cognitive functions. And so what the INFP is trying to do is they feel emotions so deeply, and they understand that emotions are beyond words. And what the artist does, and INFPs are often artists, or I should say a lot of artists are INFPs, is they can create art that can actually generate an emotion. They can create an emotion within another person. Whereas I get really caught up if I'm on my own. I can nut out all my ideas. Like I could go home and think about what your personality type is, sitting in the grass on my own, and really work it through. But if you're like a dickhead to me and we had an argument, I'd be very confused about what was going on emotionally until I talked to my wife or wrote in my journal. I have to get the emotions out of me to look at them. So that's one of the fundamental differences. But I'll go through them quickly. Should I just do one? I'll just go with the one that I think you are.
Sure.
And then you can push back. I think you're INFP, and if you are, it means that you're leading with what they call introverted feeling. Mm-hmm. So it means your unconscious process and the primary process you're working in the world with is introverted feeling, and that is having an extremely nuanced and sophisticated map of your inner emotional world.
Yeah.
And that's knowing what's going on there, knowing who you are, and the nickname for it is authenticity.
Yes.
So primary values is being authentic, being your true self, and sticking with that.
Yeah.
It's more important than seeing to the emotional needs of those around you.
Yeah.
If you're congruent with who you are, and you're being Rowan as you want Rowan to be, not who everyone else says Rowan should be, you feel inner alignment. Yeah. So that would be your number one function.
Okay.
So for me, and because it's unconscious, our first one, I'm not good at explaining it, but for me, it's an introverted pattern recognition that I primarily show up to the world with. So it's literally what we're doing now. And I go very deep with my pattern recognition on a few topics, whereas you're using extroverted intuition, which is real-time, right here, right now, quite fast pattern recognition. And it's lots of topics. Whereas me, for better or for worse, and it's almost a bit humiliating, it's like kind of being interested in the same topics, always. They kind of take a different form. But if you scratch beneath the surface, it's kind of just like wellness, psychology. Whereas in the Christian world, it was like that. Outside the Christian, it's kind of the same shit. But
I'm bringing back a bit of nostalgia.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. Oh, no, you don't. Oh, yeah, no, it's funny you say nostalgia because that's the next one.
Oh.
And you mentioned before, thinking about the past. This is cool. This is fun. So this is Dan, and this is you in real time talking about stuff. Going to the pub and saying, how is AI going to impact us in the future? Or what was your example? How is VR going to, it's like, we're fascinating. But you're not going to be talking and thinking about that for the next 5 years. Reading books, every book on the topic.
No, I'll probably forget I said it.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless I write it down.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so this one's conscious. So that's an unconscious thing. You kind of can't use that. You can't not use that. But it's extroverted. Well, you and I are both introverted. So our first function is introvert. That's primarily how we show up in the world. But we all have a way that we show up in an extroverted way. The way I show up extroverted is with emotions. The way you show up extroverted is with this pattern recognition, dot connecting, which makes you good on a podcast in real time. And that is a spontaneous.
I get the feeling these two aren't very common.
They're very, very uncommon.
Am I right?
You're 100%. 100%. So that's less than 1% of men.
Right.
0.8% of men.
Oh, okay.
And it's like 1% of people in general.
And that's
so
you.
It's a little bit that's me. That's the most rare.
Yeah.
And this is like literally a percent or a point of a percent or two more common.
Yeah.
So the only person that's more rare than you is me, basically.
Yeah.
And the only place you find a lot of these people, especially me, is this kind of space personality place.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, very, very rare. And especially with blokes. Because statistically there's more guys that are thinkers than feelers. So I've already told you that intuitives are only 25%. So if you're going to get an intuitive male who's also a feeler, you've just shrunk the percentages down.
Yeah.
So whilst these are fundamentally different, they're more similar to each other than they are to anybody else. So that's called exploration. That's what they've nicknamed it.
Yeah.
And that's about travel. I should have said that. So like travel's probably good for you. It's probably healthy for you. It's good to get out there. It's good to get out in the world and
it's nice when you're not trapped though.
Yeah. It's healthy. Obviously, if you get like anxiety from all the uncertainty, I mean, I get quite a bit of anxiety travelling as well. But it is a healthy thing, so it's like an area of growth for you.
No, for sure.
To work on that. Whereas for me, area of growth is expressing my feelings. Whereas you've kind of got feelings dialed in. Doesn't mean you don't have issues, but you kind of know what's going on. The back seat, so they say this is like a car, so it's like the driver, the co-pilot. The back seat, this is an American car, is the 10-year-old function, they call it. And essentially they're saying it functions only to about the skill level of a 10-year-old. And then we've got the 3-year-old. Mm-hmm. For you, you've got in your 10-year-old position introverted sensing, which they call memory, which is about, and I didn't specifically ask this, but you mentioned that you've been thinking about the past a bit.
Yeah. So is this sort of the backseat stuff?
Yes.
Stuff in the back of your mind?
It's the back. Yeah. They don't sort of say it like that, but it is a bit like that. Back of your mind is probably the unconscious processes.
Oh, yeah.
So this is introverted sensing,
but
it's not a sensing out in the world, doing stuff, which I have. So for me, riding my skateboard is my sensing process. It's all about looking to the past, and you've talked about this today, actually, looking to the past to evaluate how you'll operate in the future.
Yeah.
Last time I rang the bank, they did this. So now this time I'm going to ring the bank, I'm not going to do this. And it's like constantly referencing, in a good, not in a bad way, but looking and analysing and then just basically pattern recognising that and then applying it.
So that's good for growth because you're actually learning.
Yeah, it's got a conservative flavour to it. So this is an inherently not conservative personality.
Yeah.
But then you've got a bit of that conservative, a little bit of tradition, a little bit of someone who's got this like in the front of their car. They don't like change. They like things the way they are.
Yeah.
All that kind of thing. They like continuity, tangible. And so this is probably what you're moving into. Like we move into our third when we're stressed, when we're struggling.
We're
getting old, whatever it is. Trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma of being sick. I want what I know. So the growth for everybody is to go into the second. So this is introverted and that's introverted. If you're using just these two and you're excluding that, you're doing what they call the cognitive loop, where you're staying in your introverted process.
Yeah.
And when I do it, I go here, and they're two different functions, but it's the same thing. So when I was really sick at home in bed and just with fatigue, I was stuck in this loop. And I needed to get out, relate to other humans, and I needed to do emotional heart-to-heart connection.
So you're saying I need a holiday, basically?
Yeah, you need a holiday.
No, I get it.
And then your last one is effectiveness, 3-year-old. And that's essentially getting stuff done. Mm-hmm. You got it there, but it's a weakness. And so schedules, being driven, and you've been talking about that, like, we're going to set this up. But this is a newer thing. I mean, you've always had a bit of that, but it's always been a, what's the word they use? I can't think of the word, but it's like the thing you want to do, the thing you're striving for, but you never quite do it.
Yeah.
For me, it's actually exercising, sensation. For me, it's like, I have these ideas of riding my bike and getting fit, but I ride a skateboard that's electric. It's aspirational. Our fourth one is aspirational. So it's like, we want to do it, we think, you know, and we're just, it's something we're constantly clawing towards.
Jesus Christ, mate, you fit me in a box. I don't know you fit me in a box. Fucking hell. Only took you 20 years.
That's right. That's the intuition. Took me 20 years to get there.
But you put me in a box, speaking of which.
I got you in the box.
You got me in a box.
Should we wind this up?
Yeah, let's. Don't you want me to?
Oh yeah, in a sec, because I'm actually going to use that if I can.
Yeah, of course. I'll send you a copy.
I'll tell you why in a sec. Does that make sense? That resonate?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's similar to me, but I just don't reckon you're the judger. Because
no, you're right.
If we put the J there, it would change all of this.
Yeah. No, you're right. That is me.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Like that and that.
Yeah. Cool?
Cool.
You can take a photo of that if you want.
Thanks, mate.
And that's what I thought you would be. But it's cool to actually...
Yeah, we'll discuss and...
prove it, basically.
Let me know when... Did you want me to stop the record?
Yeah, stop it.
Energy Consultant is produced by Ryan Harry and distributed by the Oscars Network.